And we're back from break on the InfoWars Nightly News. Now we're joined by pharmacist Ben Fuchs for really an extended interview into everything about health and how really you can solve your own issues just by learning about nutrition and taking it into account.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Ben.
Thank you for having me. I like the way you said that. We can solve our own issues. Do you ever hear that book, The Constitution of No Authority, by Lysander Spooner?
No.
Lysander Spooner was a lawyer in the 1800s, and he wrote a book called The Constitution of No Authority. And his whole take was that we have to abolish authority. And that he was talking about it from a political standpoint. I'm talking about it from a health standpoint. I mean, the word authority always troubled me because the word authority contains the precursor author. So when somebody's an authority, that means they're writing your story.
Right.
I hate authority. I don't want anybody writing my story. We can write our own story, and nothing is more important when it comes to writing our own story than writing our own story about our health.
So why don't you give us some of the basics here?
Okay, cool. Well, one of the things I like to do is simplify things. In pharmacy school, we always learn how to educate the public. You know, think about it, the most trusted profession every year is the pharmacist, and why is that? It's because we're trained in taking very complicated information about medicine, information that people really don't have a lot of don't really understand, and simplifying it and making it more palatable, making it bite-sized for people to grasp. Well, I do that with nutrition. And the way I do it with nutrition is I take this vast, somewhat confusing subject, somewhat overwhelming subject of nutrition. I mean, it's very easy for people just to throw their arms up and say, I give up. And what I like to do is take that vast subject matter and simplify it into bite-sized components. And the way I do it is with what I call the 8 chapters of good nutrition. And the 8 chapters of good nutrition are protein, fat, carbohydrates, fiber, water, vitamins, minerals, and trace nutrients. The first 5 chapters are I call macronutrients. These are nutrients you need a lot of. The last 3 chapters are trace nutrients, like the pixie dust that activates the macronutrients. So when it comes to the 8 chapters of good nutrition, how do you incorporate that into your lifestyle? How do you incorporate it into your lifestyle in an easy way, in a manageable way? So take chapter 1, protein. Your needs for protein are unspeakably huge. The average person needs somewhere around half a gram to a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So you weigh, say, 150 pounds, you're looking at 75 grams to 150 grams of protein if you want to be optimally healthy from a protein standpoint. How are you going to get 150 grams of protein? An egg has around 7 grams of protein. So you're looking, right away, you're looking at 20 eggs just to get your protein from eggs. From steak or from hamburger, you cook your protein, you don't even really know what you're getting, but it's very difficult to get those kinds of quantities. In order to effectively and manageably get 75 to 150 grams of protein if you weigh 150 pounds, the only way to do it is to supplement. And the only way to supplement with protein is to make sure that you're getting some kind of quality powder. The most important quality protein powder that you'll ever find is whey protein, by far. Whey is a complex food that contains not just protein fractions and not just all of the major protein components, which are called amino acids, but it contains specifically the kinds of proteins that are important for building things, for building a body. Because when you think about it, what is milk? Milk is a substance that mammals produce to build an adult mammal from a baby mammal. Well, those factors that are building are concentrated in the portion of the milk that's called whey. And they're especially concentrated in the portion of the milk that's called whey protein. And whey protein is so easy to get. It's available in any health food store. It's available through the Youngevity products. And it's really the only way to make sure that you're getting these the concentrated amounts of protein that you need through protein powders.
But I mean, people probably know about whey from weightlifting and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
But it's good for everybody?
Heck yes, and I'll tell you why. Number one, if a bodybuilder or an athlete is doing something, we should all be doing it, because just getting your butt out of bed in the morning is an athletic event. Just getting through your day contains an athletic component, just to function in your day. So if an athlete is doing something for their performance, you want to think of yourself as an athlete of life, and you want to see what they're doing to improve their performance so you can improve your performance in the athletics of life. So it's true, bodybuilders love whey protein. Why? Because it builds muscle. However, whey protein contains other factors that make this a stupendously important food. Whey protein contains something called lactoferrin, which is a natural antibiotic. Whey protein also contains small components that are called globulins that are important for building the calf's immune system. Well, when you do whey protein, those little globulins that build the calf's immune system, they go into your immune system and do exactly the same thing. So not only do you have proteins and amino acids specific for building, but you have lactoferrin, which is a natural antibiotic, and you have immune globulins that support your immune system, all in one food. That's what makes whey protein the single most powerful food, with the exception perhaps of eggs and human mother's milk. And that's your protein source. Now, some people have a problem with whey protein. Some people have a problem with dairy. If that's the case, you have two options. You can use digestive enzymes, which will sometimes get you around the problem with the allergens in whey protein, or you can use some more exotic forms of whey protein that are more heavily processed. Now, you lose some of the value of the whey protein, but it might be easier for somebody to handle if they have allergies, milk allergies. The second thing you can do is you can go into alternative sources of protein, and there's many. Egg protein is an alternative source of protein. Bean protein, soy protein, not quite as good, but it's an alternative source of protein. Hemp seed protein, again, not quite as good, but an alternative source of protein. Brazil nut protein, pea protein, rice protein. These are all sources of protein that you can use in a supplemental fashion. Now, I'm a big believer in food, but one of the big problems with food is we have to cook it. And we have to process it, whether that processing involves chopping or dicing or freezing or boiling, whatever that processing is. And whenever you process a food, you lose the nutritional value. The beautiful thing about whey protein is you don't have to process it, or protein powders is you don't have to process it. You just add it into water and drink it. By the way, I'm a bachelor. I don't really have time to cook or the inclination to cook. So one of the neat things about whey protein is you put it in water, you drink it, or you put it in your blender and you throw a few other things in and you drink it. One dish to wash, no muss, no fuss. You're well nutriated. That's one of the neat things about supplementing is it's brain fart free, brain damage free. It's easy to do. You just add the stuff to water and you drink it. And that's one of the neat things about nutritional supplements as well, is you can get your nutrients without having to waste a lot of time in the kitchen. As far as food goes, that's a whole nother story, because I think foods are very important. But the less work you give your digestive system, the longer you will live. So the key to longevity and the key to health and wellness is to figure out a way to get lots of nutrients without lots of calories. Calories represent heat and calories represent work. Nutrients are, in a way, they're the opposite, because your body doesn't have to work. The body actually gets work. The body actually gets energy. The body actually gets the raw materials when you take in nutrients. When you take in calories, the body has to process the calories. Calories represent heat. The body stores those calories. A lot of work goes into the digestive process that is bypassed when you use a nutritional supplement program like whey protein powder. And by the way, that's just chapter 1. There's a lot more to it, but that's just chapter 1. Then you go into fat, and another thing, this is another really important thing. Your brain is constantly reading the blood. See, your brain's in the dark. It's in your head. It doesn't know what's outside there. The only way it knows what's in the outside world is by reading the blood that's passing through it. So your brain is constantly scanning the blood for specific nutrients to determine whether you're hungry or not. And when it sees those nutrients, those specific nutrients, it sends the message, hey, we don't need to eat. In other words, it shuts down the appetite. On the other hand, when it's missing those nutrients, it says, go get some food, we're missing nutrients. Well, the key nutrients that the brain is looking for to determine appetite, or lack thereof, is tryptophan, which is a very important amino acid. You can think of it like a protein, and glutamine, which is another very important amino acid, and you can think of it like a protein. So essentially, the brain is reading the blood for specific proteins to determine whether you're hungry or not, or whether we're hungry or not. So if you want to shut down your appetite, protein is your best friend. Concentrated protein is your best friend. If you want to lose weight, concentrated protein is your best friend, because what happens is your protein levels in your blood rise, and as the blood goes through your brain reads the protein levels and it says, all is right in the world. Now, it's specifically reading the blood for these building amino acids, specifically tryptophan and glutamine, which from an evolutionary perspective, these were the amino acids that were in the foods that we hunted. Back when we were paleological, when we lived on the African savanna 50,000 years ago, tryptophan and glutamine meant we just killed a wildebeest, or we just killed a zebra. And it's summertime on the African savanna, and all is right in the world. So you don't have to go eat. Now we can take all that energy, we can put it into muscles. Conversely, when tryptophan levels are low, and glutamine levels are low, protein levels are low in the blood, the brain reads the blood, it sees the protein levels are low, the amino acid levels are low, the tryptophan and the glutamine levels are low. Guess what it does? it sends you out to go find food.
Store up anything you can find.
Store it, exactly. And what kind of food? Sugar, because sugar is very important to the brain. So when your protein levels are low and your amino acid levels are low, tryptophan and glutamine, you're going to be on a one-pointed, highly focused hunt for sugar, and your brain is going to take that, your body's going to take that sugar, and under orders from your brain, it's going to store it on your gut or on your butt because it thinks a famine is coming. It thinks wintertime is approaching. So protein, ingestion of protein, proper ingestion of protein, tells the brain that all is right in the world. It's summertime on the African savanna. There's plenty of food, and we can put all those nutrients into building muscle so we can go out and hunt and do all the things human beings are supposed to do. Protein is a dieter's best friend. And I hate willpower. I don't have any willpower, and I don't believe dieting or good health should be a question of willpower. Because to me, willpower is this battle that's going on in your body. And that's not a good thing. You don't want to have a battle going on in your body. Good health should be as easy as a piece of ripe fruit just dropping off of a tree. And when you give yourself high protein, when you give yourself concentrated amounts of protein, 0.5 gram to 1 gram per pound of body weight, you'll find that your sugar cravings just naturally go away. If you don't have enough protein and somebody puts sugar in front of you, you can have all the willpower you want. You're going to have a tough time turning that sugar down. You'll be like, my diet starts tomorrow. And that's what most people do. But if you go to your party where there's going to be the birthday cake or the cherry pie, you go loaded up on protein, it's going to be much easier to withstand the cravings and the urges and the drives, which are really hardwired in your interest. Remember, your brain is in the dark. It doesn't know it's in the year 2011 in Austin, Texas. It thinks it's on the African savanna 50,000 years ago. So you have to give the brain what it needs in order to be happy on the African savanna 50,000 years ago. So protein is chapter 1. Can I go on to continue?
Let's do it.
Okay. Chapter 2 is fats. And just like protein is a dieter's best friend because it'll get you off the sugar, fat is a dieter's second best friend because it'll get you off the bad fat. The good fat will get you off the bad fat. Our body's need for protein is hardwired, and our body's need for fat is hardwired as well. And if you are low fat, if you are deficient in fat, and somebody puts a slice of pizza in front of you, there is no way you are going to be able to withstand that because the drive for fat is built into your brain. So what do? You get yourself essential fatty acids. In nutrition, whenever you hear that word essential, that means your body can't make it. It has to come in from the outside. And there are 2 fatty acids. You can just think of them for simplicity's sake as fats. There are 2 types of fats that are said to be essential because our body can't make it, your body needs it, but it has to come from the outside. If you don't have enough essential fatty acids, whatever fat is sitting in front of you, you're going to go for it because your body's need for fat, like your body's need for protein, is hardwired. So if you want to get off the sugar, you go for the protein. If you want to get off the pizza, or you want to get off the French fries or the fat, go for essential fatty acids. Now, essential fatty acids, the role in the body is tremendously, tremendously important. But one of the most important places where essential fatty acids play a role is they get converted into something called master hormones. And master hormones are hormones that regulate all of the other hormones. They're transcendent to all of your other hormones, and they come directly from essential fatty acids. Without essential fatty acids, you cannot make those master hormones. Master hormones regulate all the opening and closing of your body, all the opening and closing of blood vessels, nerves firing or not firing. Any kind of dynamic movement in the body is regulated by these master hormones, which in turn come from essential fatty acids. There are many Americans who go cradle to grave without enough essential fatty acids because they're so difficult to find from food.
Yeah.
If you're not supplementing, you're not getting them. You can almost one-to-one treat your fat cravings as deficiencies in essential fatty acids. So getting yourself on a good essential fatty acid is unbelievably important. There's 2 ways to do it. You can do it in liquid fashion. There's many brands of liquid. Or the easy way to do it is capsules, like the Youngevity product, the Ultimate EFAs. Take 3 capsules morning, 3 capsules afternoon, 3 capsules night. Now, one of the things that happens as we get older is we don't absorb our fats. And so many people are having problems not only getting essential fatty acids, but once they take their essential fatty acids, absorbing the essential fatty acids. So if you have a problem, then you're going to have to throw in some digestive enzymes or take your essential fatty acids with food. But other than that, as long as you don't have a digestive problem, taking essential fatty acids, generous amounts, maybe 9 capsules a day, are one of the fastest ways to demonstrate dramatic improvement in skin health, in blood pressure health, in blood sugar health, and in brain health. And it doesn't take very long. One of the neatest things I like demonstrating to people how powerful this stuff is so they can see for themselves.
Yeah.
So here's what you do if you just want to have a quick demonstration. Get yourself maybe 9 or 12 essential fatty acids and take them all at once. And let them sit in your stomach for a little bit, let the fats break out of the gel and go into your digestive system. And then see if French fries sound good to you. And I guarantee you, once you get a big jolt of fat into your system, essential fatty acid fat, good fat, you will not be able to eat the French fries. Now your body is constantly using essential fatty acids, so you're going to feel like French fries a few hours later. But just doing it one time will be enough of a demonstration to show you how powerful nutritional supplementation is for weaning yourself off of the crappy stuff. My favorite thing about essential fatty acids is it makes your skin nice and soft. Now, I've been in the skincare business for a long time. One of the things about skin that most people don't recognize is your skin should never be dry. Let me tell you something. Almost everybody has a problem with dry skin. There are billions of dollars spent on moisturizers in this country which do nothing. The moisturizers don't moisturize the skin. They just wax a coating of wax or oil on top of your skin. But you shouldn't need a moisturizer because human skin is not supposed to be dry. As soon as you start taking essential fatty acids, you notice that your skin isn't as dry. The best thing about essential fatty acids for women is one of the classic signs of EFA deficiency, of essential fatty acid deficiency, is menstrual cramps. When women get on essential fatty acids, within 2 cycles, their menstrual cramps disappear. And this is something that happens across the board. And even better, and that's a good demonstration. That's a powerful demonstration for a woman who's had cramps all her life. All of a sudden you get her on EFAs, she doesn't have cramps. But even better, when she takes a month off of her EFAs because she gets all cocky and says, I don't get cramps anymore, guess what? The cramps come back. That's how powerful the connection is between these physical manifestations of ill health and nutritional deficiencies.
So these are hormonal. Does it work the same for men and women?
Absolutely.
I mean, does it work in the right respective ways?
Heck yes. Men make hormones too. These are, see, here's how hormone works. You have a cell, right? Think of a little circle like you saw in biology class. It's not really a little circle, it's a blob, but think of their little circle like you saw in biology class. Your little circle on the outside of a cell has little spaces. Those are called receptors. And the way a hormone works is a hormone will sit in one of those spaces the way a plug sits in a socket, and it will cause a chemical reaction to happen. Now, it's a little bit simplistic. There's a few other things that happen, but basically, a hormone is like a plug. It sits in a socket. Essential fatty acids go to make or get converted into master hormones. Not hormones, master hormones. Now, what is a master hormone? A master hormone is a component that affects how the plug is going to hit the socket. So without these master hormones, the plug doesn't hit the socket as effectively. None of your hormones work as effectively. Not only that, but essential fatty acids are part of the outside part of a cell. It's called a cell membrane. And that membrane is composed of essential fatty acids. Without essential fatty acids in your diet, the cell membrane becomes dysfunctional, and once again, the plug can't fit into the socket because the cell membrane is out of shape. Thirdly, and this is very, very important, essential fatty acids are oxygen magnets. And this is why they're sitting in the outside part of a cell. Because as the essential fatty acid is sitting in the outside part of a cell, it's attracting oxygen to the cell. It's an oxygen magnet. Oxygen that's attracted to the outside part of a cell can be absorbed into a cell, and the body and the cell can use that oxygen for energy. Essential fatty acids act to trap oxygen, to localize oxygen near a cell so that cell can utilize the oxygen. Cancer can be created by suffocating, robbing a cell of oxygen. So essential fatty acids in the cell are the ways the cell protects itself from cancer. In fact, the most powerful strategy for protecting yourself from cancer is to make sure you're oxygenating cellularly through supplements like essential fatty acids and through the lungs and the respiratory tract by making sure you're breathing correctly, which is a whole other story. So essential fatty acids go to make master hormones. They go to make the cell membrane. They act like oxygen magnets. Tremendously important, and one of the most functional benefits of essential fatty acids is they can get you off of the French fries and get you off the fat.
Yeah, that's true.
So just with the first 2 chapters, bro, you've now lowered your sugar cravings, reduced your sugar cravings, reduced your cravings for fatty foods. Just the first 2 chapters, you've lost weight. Just the first 2 chapters. And we haven't even got to chapter 3, which is carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates get a bad rap. Everybody wants to be on low carb, right? Low carb diets. You need more carbohydrates than you need any other food group. In fact, roughly 60 60% or so of your calories should come from I shouldn't say that. 40% of your calories should come from carbohydrates. The standard, and everybody's going to be a little different, but the standard type of division of macronutrients are 40% carbohydrates, 30% protein, 30% fat. That's a good place to be. So most of your calories should come from carbohydrates, but they have to come from one kind of carbohydrate. And this is one of the most amazing, powerful foods on the planet. And the large bulk of your calories should be coming from this one type of food, and that is vegetables. Vegetables, 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 vegetables. So most of your calories have to come from carbohydrate, but not the carbohydrates that we're getting, vegetable carbohydrates. And you notice I didn't say fruits, right? I said vegetables, not fruits. The problem with fruits is fruits have been bred, genetically modified, not just recently in terms of genetic modification, but genetically modified for eons, for centuries really, to be super high in sugar and super high in fructose specifically, which is a very problematic sugar above and beyond regular sugar. Fructose has its own problems, and fruits are obviously high in fruit sugar, fructose. So you want the bulk of your caloric intake to come from calories that you get from vegetables. Vegetables, vegetables, vegetables. Now, there's a couple problems with vegetables. The first problem is a lot of the nutrients in vegetables that come with those carbohydrates are fatty and fat soluble. And if you have any problems with fat absorption, if you have any malabsorption issues, 30% of Americans have fat malabsorption problems, you're not going to get the benefits of those fatty nutrients. And those fatty nutrients are very protective against, protective from the sun and protective from toxicity in the environment. So without those fatty nutrients, they're called bioflavonoids and they're called carotenes, and you probably have heard some of these terms, phytosterols. These fatty compounds that are found in vegetables are supposed to be protecting us from the environment, protecting us from the sun, protecting us from toxins, protecting us from pollution. But if you're not absorbing your fats, you have an intestinal problem, you have Crohn's disease, celiac disease, you're not absorbing your fats on some level, what's going to end up happening is you're going to lose those nutrients, and you're going to be more sensitive to the sun, you're going to be more sensitive to skin cancer and other kinds of cancers, you're going to be more sensitive to environmental toxicities. So what you need to do with your vegetables is you need to mix them with oil. You always want to mix your vegetables with oil, and it's a good idea to slightly heat the vegetables in the oil. Not a lot of heat, but maybe slight steaming. What will end up happening is the nutrients, the fatty nutrients that are in the Brussels sprouts and the broccoli and the cauliflower will come out in the oil and make it easier for your body to absorb. So chapter 3, carbohydrates, should be mostly vegetables, as much as you can do vegetables, and it should be always mixed with fats. Mix your oils, your fatty acids, your essential fatty acids with your vegetables, and go varied on the vegetables. Easy on the beet and carrot. Everybody likes beet and carrot because they're super high in sugar. So easy on the beet and the carrot. Emphasize the bitter vegetables. Medicine and good stuff is always in the bitter vegetables. And you can make bitter vegetables more palatable by slightly steaming them because you release the sugars in the vegetables. All vegetables have sugars in them, but they're tied up and can't really taste them until you slightly steam them. That's why onions have almost a sugary sweet taste once you start to cook them, or once you heat them a little bit. Same with Brussels sprouts and broccoli. So chapter 3 is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates should form the bulk of your caloric intake, but they have to be vegetable carbohydrates, and you can't possibly get enough vegetables. Vegetables for breakfast, vegetables for lunch, vegetables for dinner. Veggie juices are an unbelievably important strategy for dieters because you get all of these nutrients, easy to absorb, it's all broken up and pre-digested, and you don't have to go through some of the digestive problems that are associated with vegetable intake. By the way, cabbages and cabbage juice is an amazing, amazing medicinal-like compound, medicinal-like food substance for the digestive system. If you have ulcers, if you have any kind of digestive problems, cabbage juice is amazing, amazing stuff. All vegetables are amazing. Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts are a woman's best friend because they're highly protective against female cancers. Yeah. All of those vegetables, cruciferous vegetables.
But I want to get back to the modern day because there's so many processed foods and the kind of carbs everybody's been eating. I mean, I followed, like you said, the first 2 chapters of this, but just getting on the wheys and the fats, and I personally have had a big transformation. Do you want to talk about that stuff right now? Or
about the kind of carbohydrates?
Do you want to finish your list? Or?
Well, no, this is good. The kind of carbohydrates people are eating. Because you and I were talking off air about how our political system, Our governmental system, the hierarchical system that lends itself to totalitarianism, is intimately connected with agriculture and farming. The first empire that we know of, the first empire in recorded history, was the Sumerian Empire, right?
Yeah.
The Sumerian Empire appeared out of nowhere, by the way. That's a whole other story, how that happened. But so the Sumerian Empire is the first empire in recorded history, and the Sumerian Empire became an empire because they were the first civilization that figured out how to farm and how to become big from farming. Now, why is hegemony and tyranny related to agriculture and related to farming? Well, farming's a lot of work, and it's hard to get people to do a lot of work. Not only that, but irrigation requires ditch digging, and so people had to dig ditches, and human beings aren't inclined to go dig ditches and to go farm if they don't have to. They had to be made to do that. So our political system of tyranny and our governmental system that's based on hierarchy and authority is intimately wed to this idea that people didn't want to farm, but they had to be compelled to farm. And once we had this compulsion into farming, then we figured out, we didn't have to move around as much. You could have civilizations, you could have towns, you could have cities. So it's in the interest of governmental structure, but it's not in the individual's interest. In the individual's interest, it's to find good sources of food and go to those kinds of food. In the interest of the country, in the interest of the system, agriculture plays a big role. And so we find that wherever, as soon as agriculture came, that's when civilization came, and that's when government came, and that's when political tyranny came.
Yeah, and it's interesting, you always see in Egyptian hieroglyphs, for instance, they pay taxes in grain.
Exactly. But who do they pay taxes to?
Yeah.
Exactly. They pay taxes to the government. The individual didn't need it. The individual was fine going and hunting a zebra once in a while, but we got convinced into thinking that our lives would be better off if we were farming and we had food that was local and we didn't have to go out and hunt and forage for food. But our health began to decline as soon as we started to farm, and our health didn't catch up until the turn of the 20th century when we got more protein in our diet. In the Middle Ages, you ever seen those? I don't know if I was telling you, I was telling somebody. In the Middle Ages, sometimes you go to a museum and they'll have little houses or little beds and they show you how people lived in the Middle Ages. The beds were really small, the houses were really small, people were 4'10" and 5'2", and they only lived to be 20 years old in the Middle Ages. Our Cro-Magnon ancestors were big, strong, muscular people. Our hunter-gatherer ancestors were 6 foot tall and muscular. And when archaeologists or anthropologists are looking at bones and they want to date the bones, they look at the bones and they see if the bones were weak or they see if the bones were strong. And if the bones were weak, they say, oh, grain-eating culture. And if the bones were strong, they say, oh, protein, meat-eating culture, hunter-gatherer cultures. So not only did our system of political tyranny emerge with the advent of agriculture, but our decline in health emerged as well. And it didn't catch up until very recently. In fact, arguably, it hasn't even caught up.
Yeah, why don't you talk about those founding father quotes? Because I always think about what Henry Kissinger said. Not only that food is a weapon, but that if you control the food, you control the population.
Isn't that amazing?
And yeah, not only does it go back to the history of agriculture, I mean, it was part of the history of the founding of this country.
That's right. Benjamin Rush and Thomas Jefferson, two of the founding fathers who signed the Declaration of Independence, warned against the centralization of medicine. Thomas Jefferson said, if you limit people's ability to access health freely, of their own volition, deciding what they want to do themselves, then you can control the people.
Can we pull up those quotes? Very interesting.
And Benjamin Rush said the same thing. Benjamin Rush, by the way, is a physician. And he warned about it.
Here's that quote.
Benjamin Rush, the Constitution of the Republic should make special provision for medical freedom. And he said this in 1787. This is amazing to me. To restrict the art of healing to one class will constitute the Bastille of medical science. All such laws are un-American. He says this in 1787. This is amazing. And despotic. Unless we put medical freedom in the Constitution, the time will come when medicine will organize into an undercover dictatorship and force people who wish doctors and treatment of their own choice to submit to only what the dictating outfit offers. This is what managed healthcare is. Exactly what Benjamin Rush warned against. Managed healthcare is when you go to HMO and they select what kind of medicines you get based on what kind of illness you have, based on what the book tells you. And that's what Obamacare is, Aaron. This is the promise of Obamacare. Managed managed healthcare where you go into some kind of institution, you walk in there, the doctor takes your blood pressure, they look in a book and to see what kind of prescription should be dictated to you based on what your blood pressure reading is, based on what your cholesterol reading is, and you get that medicine. And by the way, that medicine is bought in bulk from some pharmaceutical company, and you get to have it, or the HMO gets to buy it cheap if they agree to dispense just that brand for your particular illness.
Course. And it's related to the same reason we see the FDA and the other entities trying to intimidate people for growing vegetables and selling raw milk and the rest
books. Even they burn books if the books say something that they shouldn't say.
Well, yeah, he talks too about locking up the medical knowledge. The alternative stuff we're trying to get out now.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? That's what the internet is about. We're so lucky for now. I don't know what's up in the future, but for now, Aaron, gathering information is the most important thing you can do. The reason I do what I do is because I want people to have this kind of information. For the listeners, for people who are out there, there is nothing more important than gathering information about this whole, about how we take care of our bodies and how we don't take care of our bodies. To me, our access to the internet that we have for now is a gift from on high.
Let's take a look at the Jefferson quote, too. Do we have that? If the people let the government decide what foods they eat and what medicines to take, their bodies will soon be in a sorry state, as are the souls of those who live under tyranny.
Isn't that great?
That's Thomas Jefferson. Not sure on the year of that quote, but regardless, it's from the founding period, and that really is part of the fight. We're trying to have a revolution of the mind here, but that goes right along with the bodies, and that's what the InfoWar and the rest of it is all about.
Well, InfoWar is information.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. Now, personally, I'm a healthcare professional, so I focus on health, but I'm also involved, I follow what's going on politically, and I follow what's going on in terms of the New World Order, in terms of the centralization of power on all levels. But if we're sick, Aaron, if we have cancer, if we have colon problems or Crohn's disease, if we have autoimmune problems, or if we're just a slave to food where we can't stop eating, we will not have the wherewithal, we will not have the power, we will not have the strength to fight this New World Order. So to me, this is a precursor to the great battle. Taking care of your body, taking care of your health, disengaging from the foods they want you to eat. If somebody is singing a song to you about a food that you're supposed to go out and eat, that's a food you don't want to eat.
Yeah.
If there's a commercial, if there's a jingle, if there's a model, if there's a little cartoon character, that is something you don't want to go near. And that's the kind of decisions we have to make. We're being manipulated through our food choices. So as an independent human being, as a free-thinking human being, it should be an insult to anybody to drive through the Golden Arches or to go through Wendy's or to eat that kind of food, because that's how our power is being usurped from us. That's how we are being controlled, through the water we're drinking, through the beverages we drink, through the foods we eat, and through the air we breathe. So personally, I consider it an insult to my intelligence to go through some kind of drive-through to have a hamburger or French fries. I feel personally offended by somebody trying to sell me that
they've
stuff.
taken all the psychology knowledge and use it against us.
It's
from Maslow
awful.
to
Bernays. You know about Edward Bernays?
Exactly.
Oh my God, the torches of
Well, he was the nephew of Freud, so
exactly.
They applied that
Do you know Edward Bernays was hired by the Beechnut Packing Company to get more sales for bacon, and he invented the bacon and egg breakfast that we all eat today? That's some good PR.
Well, I've seen that documentary, The Century of the Self. It's very interesting.
Exactly. Edward Bernays knew all this stuff. See, that's when they started to figure that we can manipulate the mind. They didn't even know about the mind from a scientific perspective till Freud. Freud's big advance was he said that there's these unconscious drives that we have, and those can be manipulated. I love this. There's a funny story, and I think it was in that Century of the Self video with the cake mix. Do you remember the story with the cake mix?
Not offhand.
They were trying to sell women powdered cake mix. And women didn't want to buy it because they were like, no, I'm a woman. I know how to bake. I'm not going to buy a powdered cake mix. They found it insulting, right? So what they did is they did all these focus groups to figure out why women weren't buying the processed powdered cake mix. And they found out that because women felt like it was taking their womanhood away, they figured out, well, we'll tell women to crack an egg in the powder cake mix.
So they feel like they're doing something.
They feel like they're doing something, and all of a sudden, the cake mix sales went through the roof, and to this day, people are buying powder cake mix simply because they think they have to add an egg. You don't need an egg in there. They just told you to add an egg because it would make you feel like you were doing something. The point being that was when we figured out, or that's when marketers figured out that there was a way to get people to buy things, to hit their buy buttons. In fact, there's a book out now called Biology.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? B-U-I. Biology, which is the science of how we buy. They have it down, and by the way, the Obama campaign was like almost a pinnacle in all of this, understanding how to manipulate people. Politicians use this all the time. But today, they can actually track your movements in a grocery store to see how much time you're spending at each shelf on the grocery store. And they have these new interactive devices that are being put on shopping carts, and supposedly they're going to tell you, they'll be personalized based on your buying habits, based on your little frequency buyer card. They'll know exactly what Aaron likes to buy, and as you're wheeling the shopping cart through there, they'll go, sale on Twinkies, sale on whatever you like to buy.
We become such slaves. We allow these malls to track us on the smartphones.
You'll be tracked, exactly. And not only that, but they have iris scanners, and they'll track your eye movements to see how long you're spending focusing on this box or that box, and they'll know how to position things based on the information that they gather.
Look, we're going to do a whole part 2 covering a lot more how to address certain diseases and what's at the heart of it all. But I also wanted to get into a little bit of my personal story, because I have been listening to your show for about 6 months now, and it finally sunk in just from your first 2 points that you got to take the protein and you got to take the essential fats.
Right.
And I've lost a ton of weight just doing that alone, some moderate exercises, and taking these Youngevity supplements that we have at InfoWarsTeam.com, and then, of course, your radio show at BrightSideBen.com. There I am 6 months ago.
That's amazing.
And, yeah, I've lost somewhere on the order of 65 pounds or so.
But Aaron, here's the thing. It's great you lost weight, and I love that we look good and you lose weight, and it's great that you could see that you lost weight, because it's a way to visually demonstrate for you how effective a nutritional supplement program like the Youngevity products can be. But what's really important, Aaron, is you just added a decade to your life. You just reduce your risk of arthritis. You just reduce your risk of heart disease. You reduce your risk of cancer. You reduce your risk of stroke. You reduce your risk of dying from all the things that Americans die from. And I don't care about dying personally. I don't have a fear of death. But what I don't want to happen is I don't want to get a stroke. And I don't want to have an aneurysm. And I don't want to end up in a wheelchair. And I don't want to end up where I can't move my body. And that is the prognosis, unfortunately, of most Americans if they continue down the road that they're on. What you just did, in addition to losing 60 pounds and looking good, you added years to your life and reduced your risk of degenerative disease and breakdown. And to me, that is key.
Well, I don't like being a slave to the system either.
And then that's another thing. How demeaning it is to be a slave to French fries, or to be a slave to some kind of processed food that somebody is trying to sell you that could care less about you. Do you ever see the person who's making your tacos at Taco Bell? That person could care less about you, and you never want to eat food that is being prepared by somebody who could care less about you. And to me, that's the most important reason for not eating fast food and not eating food that's prepared by somebody where I can't see what they're doing, is it's very dangerous to eat food that is prepared by somebody who A, doesn't care about you, and B, is trying to extract money from you.
But it's really true. When I started taking these supplements, the Youngevity and some other good herbs too you could find, I mean, I did not have that craving. That was the only thing that's ever killed those terrible cravings.
That's awesome. You know, I never get tired. I appreciate that. I never get tired of hearing stories like that, but I got to tell you, I hear them over and over and over again. And what seems like a miracle to some folks, to me, it's just the way the body works.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into a whole lot more. You'll see it later this week. But for now, that's it for the InfoWars Nightly News.
Ben Fuchs joins us here. Ben, what is going on with Alex Jones? I mean, you're a pharmacist, I should say, by training. Go ahead.
Right. There's so many different ways we could take it, but basically you've been anti-domesticated. That's how I look at it. See, we're domesticated through our foods. We're made dumb through our foods. We're made weak through our foods. We're made docile through our foods. And what you're experiencing is changes in your biochemistry, specifically, it seems like, around estrogen, around insulin, and around the male hormone testosterone. Testosterone gives you virility, it gives you strength, it gives you power, it gives you the get up and go. Over time, we become resistant to hormones, specifically insulin, that reduces our testosterone response and makes us more passive, makes us more docile.
And that's what it is. My testosterone's up.
You've resensitized your body to testosterone through the hormone insulin. And this is really the key. By dropping your insulin, you become more sensitized to testosterone. When we become insulin resistant, we lose our anabolic, our building edge. So the key to anti-aging and the key to wellness and the key to power and the key to vitality is resensitizing your body to insulin, the hormone insulin. And you do that by dropping your calories, dropping your intake of refined carbohydrates, upping your intake of micronutrients, and upping your intake of protein. And you're a living testimony to this. And I also want to say one other thing. people lose weight. I was joking around before we went on air. I said we should tally up the amount of pounds that everybody lost. It would be tonnage. I mean, you talking about Aaron lost 60 pounds. I get letters from people losing 70 pounds. Ted lost 25 pounds. You lost 37 pounds.
I think it's 35, yeah.
The point is the weight will drop, but we don't want to focus on the weight loss.
Yeah, we don't even sell this saying weight loss.
No.
It's funny. It's the ultimate weight loss. It doesn't say it.
You're carving up your body to where it should be by giving yourself good nutrition. You get more energy, you think more clearly, you have more get up and go, and you lose weight.
Yeah, let's say it's 8 o'clock at night. I got the munchies. I don't go eat a ham sandwich. I just have a tangy tangerine.
That's right, exactly. You need a straw for that.
That's what you're having right now.
Exactly. See, the point is that we develop these habits based on our need for nutrition, and we're getting the calories without the nutrients. This is what we talked about before. When we feel like snacking before bed, it's not calories we want, it's nutrients that we want. But our only option is caloric intake. So we have milk and cookies.
But why do I get crazed when I drink tangy tangerine more than a pot of coffee?
You call it crazed, I call it energized. Crazed is just a negative spin on it. You have more energy.
Well, no, but I am crazed naturally, so I think that's the effect.
That might be the problem there. But most of us just get more energy. We just get up and go. Don't you think that one of the most important, if people could have a health wish come true, don't you think it would be more energy? Don't you think it would be more get up and go? I mean, weight loss is important, but to me, it's the vitality, it's the zest. Health is not the absence of disease. Health is feeling great about life. Imagine if we all felt powerful and great about life. The disease, the weight loss, the markers, the blood markers like cholesterol and like blood sugar, they would take care of themselves. If we could take care of the zest part, of the energy part, of the vitality part, the numbers would take care of themselves. That's why I never talk about weight loss with Beyond Tangy Tangerine. I talk about feeling better, and that's what happens. Now, everybody who's lost weight, they notice the weight loss, but if you ask them, they will also tell you they have more energy and they feel better, and that's really what this is.
Which is the difference. And then other times when I force myself to lose like 20 pounds by hard dieting and exercise, it's grueling and my stomach hurts and I'm hungry.
Right, and you shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that. You should be loving exercise. I mean, the human body craves exercise. We secrete pleasure hormones.
No, I want to leave early now to go run again.
Right, because we secrete pleasure hormones when we're exercising.
And also, I want to stomp people. That's not good.
You just stop people and grab them?
Stomp people.
Oh, stomp people. No. That's the testosterone thing. You may need maybe we want to get you a little essential fatty acids or maybe some magnesium or something to kind of take the edge off.
No, I like it.
That's different.
All right, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. No, I mean, it's just exciting. And I mean, being able to run 8 miles now.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's awesome. We'll be right back.
Awesome.
Come, you masters of war.
Now, Ben Fuchs is putting on an event with Dr. Corey Gold, MZ, Ted Anderson this weekend here in Austin. We'll tell you about that before this hour ends. Also, you can find the addresses of both events and more info at InfoWarsTeam.com. But Ted Anderson staying at my house last night, was not intending to even get him on air. We were talking about Youngevity and having a tangy tangerine. Or was it a pollen burst? It was tangy tangerine because it was at night. We'd gone out to eat before that. And Ted said, look at my cholesterol numbers. Because it was over 300. They were saying, we got to put you on Lipitor. You know, it's admitted that stuff's so bad for you. You've had medical doctors on saying it literally eats your brain. And Ted started only eating oatmeal and stuff, couldn't really lower it. And then he went on the Youngevity products and came back a few months later. It goes from 300 to, 160-something. There it is, Apple Valley Medical Clinic, blood test, all of it. We'll do a document cam for viewers. But Ted, tell us about this.
Well, I mean, as you can see, I mean, my triglycerides are at 368. My brother had bypass surgery, 3 bypasses, when he was 42. My dad has stents in him. My grandfather died of heart disease, a heart attack. It was after his, I think it was 9th one in the 1970s. You walk into any medical clinic and have a physical, and they find 368 on your triglycerides, they're going to put you on statin drugs.
Now, there it is, 300 and something. If you go up, now 164.
Yeah, 164. After I got off the oatmeal in the morning and started taking a protein shake by Ben's recommendation, my cholesterol and also the tangy tangerine and essential fatty acids went from 368 to 164 in 1 year. I mean, you can't even hardly do that with their statin drugs.
Can you imagine if a drug did that? Can you imagine what they say if a drug did that with no side effects and no toxicity except you feel better? That's the side effect.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But they used to burn women whenever they knew how to use all the herbs and things, and that was the old leech doctors. It's always been the establishment medical system wants to give you lead and mercury. In fact, they used to give Andrew Jackson mercury to get him up out of bed when he was really old, because I guess a poison will make you actually get up for a while, instead of, hey, why don't you just have nutrition that your body needs?
Right, exactly. I mean, I didn't know about this. I mean, personally, I've been walking around with a bum knee for how many years? They want to go in and do arthroscopic surgery to fix it, and eventually talking about knee replacement. I take Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Within 2 months, I'm walking without pain. I mean, a little bit of glucogel, they sell that product too. You find it right up on InfoWars.
And by the way, your dad, who has Alzheimer's, you were able to get him on it, and the doctor said no, and I brought that up to Ben, and then the Alzheimer's came back. I brought it up to Ben, and you said the doctors say, yeah, no vitamins.
That's crazy. But here's the thing. You
were saying no green vegetables, they tell
No
them.
green vegetables because it'll clot your blood. It has vitamin K in there. But here's the thing. You guys are surprised and amazed, and I can see why you're surprised and amazed. Think of me. I see this every day. I get the letters every day for years. Weight loss and cholesterol dropping and blood pressure dropping and people off their medication. I see it every day. I get letters about it every day, and I've gotten these letters for years because this is the way the body works. We're not sick. We're starving. We don't need to be fixed by any medical model. We need to be fed correctly with nutrition and nutritional supplementation and dietary strategies.
Well, I'm convinced, and I get to see those emails, and I know thousands of people are convinced along with you, and it's just amazing. I mean, Alex,
but the proof's in the pudding. I mean, we ought to get Aaron Dykes in here. I mean, he lost 65 pounds, and now he keeps losing. I mean, it is insane.
And he feels better. And he feels a lot.
Oh,
you know what else, though, guys? You've decreased your risk of degenerative disease. You've decreased the likelihood of dying of a heart attack. You've decreased the likelihood that you're going to get cancer. You've decreased the chances that you're going to get a stroke. In addition to looking good, in addition to feeling better, in addition to losing weight, now you've dramatically cut your risk of degeneration as you grow older. And it's one thing to die early, but it's another thing to rot on the way down. And once you start taking care of your nutritional needs, not only are you going to increase your longevity and feel better, but you're going to decrease the likelihood that you're going to have one of these awful, awful degenerative conditions.
And Chad, I know it's a sad story, but you volunteered for me to tell it. I mean, your dad got to where he didn't really know where he was when you said fishing. And after, 6 months on Youngevity, on the Tangy Tangerine and essential fatty acids, in your own words, he knew who he was again, was having a good time.
Yeah.
But then the doctor tested the blood and said, you're not allowed to have vitamin K.
Well, because
what happened when he went off of it?
He's on Coumadin. I mean, he lost his memory again. I mean, when he was on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, I came over for a party one day. He told me what my brother was doing and why he couldn't be there on time, what his wife was up to, all the short-term memory stuff that he just...
Your dad was back.
Yeah, he was back. He had his cognitive...
But the doctor, the God, says no.
Yeah.
Yeah, because...
How do they get away with that, Ben? I mean...
They're medical deities. We created a model through marketing and Edward Bernays and PR and spin and commercials and mass hypnosis. We've created this model that says that you do whatever the doctor said. How many times do you see these commercials? Ask your doctor. Make sure you ask your doctor.
What about doctors in the 50s saying smoke cigarettes, they're good for you?
Right. They did all kinds of stuff. They used to cure hemorrhoids by sticking a hot iron rod up your hemorrhoid area.
Oh, let's not talk about it. Well, the leeches, too.
All kinds of stuff. You know, the history of medicine is not pretty.
You know where lobotomies came from? The famous doctor, he would just jam ice picks in the brain laughing in front of his medical students with mentally ill people. If you don't believe me, folks, look it up. Ted Anderson, awesome. Thank you. We're going to get more testimonials with pharmacist Ben Fuchs with Corey Gold straight ahead. She'll slice you apart. Okay, we are back live here, and this is a big way to fight the globalists. And it's a big way for patriots everywhere to get into business, waking others up. That's how the free market works. That's what I did going back 17 years ago. Making my own videos, funding my own organization, slowly growing it, so we can now challenge the globalists toe-to-toe. And I invite people to join InfoWarsTeam.com. It's $10 to sign up and get discounts on all the products, or just go buy them outright. I know I've got my family signed up because, again, I believed in it, knew it was good, so I was promoting it, but didn't really buy into it. I'm 2 months in. And I'll say this, I've lost 37 pounds. In about a week and a half, I really haven't lost any weight. And it is because I still eat a big steak or pigged out on Mexican food last night and ate 2 buckets of probably GMO chips. But I mean, just the eating a little less and drinking the Tangy Tangerine and Pollen bursts, it's incredible. So I'm not even going the extreme stuff like Aaron Dykes is. And by the way, he says he's crazed now. And most of this stuff doesn't even have caffeine in it, most of these products. Now, what I'm breaking down here is the fact that if we get healthy and realize what's happening, if we have the building blocks we need and aren't starving for nutrients, not empty food, then the globalists, the system, is going to be in deep, deep trouble. And Dr. Corey Gold, who's a dentist, just like my dad, he's a dentist from UC San Francisco, product formulator for 20 years, a lot of famous products out there like Pollen burst, one of my favorites. I used to drink coffee at 5 to do the nightly news, and it would just give me like this dirty, awake buzz and a headache later. Not Pollen burst full of B vitamins and the rest of it. Wow. And it does a little bit of caffeine as well, but formulated just right. He's also a team leader at InfoWars team.com, and he works with Youngevity. In fact, some of his companies basically merge with them. So he's in studio with us, but I learned that, well, I already knew this, but he's down in the San Diego area right by the reactor that released a bunch of radiation, and they admit that. And I was just mentioning at the start of the hour, and he was bringing it up, that he heard alarms going off in his neighborhood with this. So give us an update on what's going on with what happened in Southern California.
Yeah, my home is not too far away from San Onofre nuclear plant, which is on the coast between Orange County and San Diego. And we're just sitting in our house, my wife and myself, and all of a sudden these sirens go off. Like, what the heck is that? Like, once or twice a year they have these tests. But they always tell you, we're going to have a test next week, so we do it twice a year, so don't worry about it, just a test. There's no test. What the heck's going off? Do we get in the car? Where do we go? And all of a sudden they go away, and then we hear them again a few minutes later. What's happening? So I go on the internet, and they say, there's a leak at San Onofre nuclear plant, but don't worry, it's contained. Go about your own business. There's no problem at all. Everything's just fine. There's leaking radiation about 10 miles away, but don't worry about it. It's all good. But stay out of the sun, of course. Make sure you stay out of the sun. But nuclear radiation leaking, that's just fine. Just go about your business.
By the way, you guys hadn't heard this, and I don't blame you for kind of double-taking. I mean, I don't make stuff up, but you were like, really? I told you, Cass Sunstein, the White House regulations czar, said, first restrict and block their websites, but we should look at arresting. He wrote public papers for Harvard and the White House and Chicago Business School, 3 of them. You can go read them. But he said, infiltrate people that question, he said, including alternative health. That's conspiracy theory. And he said, people that say any sun is good is dangerous and damaging people. They should be arrested. And he said, if you question man-made global warming, you should be. But then literally, as you know, hundreds of mainline studies that moderate sun is essential. I don't need to know that. If I get a little bit down in the winter, everybody knows, go to the coast, get some sun, even if it's 60 degrees, get some sun. I feel great. It's like a drug. As a dentist, as a researcher, as someone who's looked at this, why is sun so important, and why are they telling us it's bad? I mean, I know it's linked to getting cancer, not getting sun. And guys, type in Cass Sunstein, conspiracy theory, sun is not good for you. Or Cass Sunstein says sun is not good for you. I want to show them this because they were doubting, and I could tell. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't doubting you. I'll put that on Ben. But anyway, there's this whole disease out there.
No, I don't blame you if you do. It's unbelievable.
There's this whole disease called seasonal dysaffective disorder for people in Alaska and people up in Sweden. They get it where they're not in the sun enough. Their brains don't work well. Their brain needs sun. Your body needs sun.
Well, the studies, the eyes also take the light and does a chemical reaction.
Serotonin and melatonin, our connection to spirituality, our connection to mental well-being.
Northern Europe was having huge suicides, as you know, until now by law they have to provide sunrooms, and they put artificial sun in the buildings.
There's an intimate link between the sun and the pineal gland. In fact, the pineal gland itself has photoreceptor cells, so that it's
third eye.
It's literally like an eye in your head, and it's connected to the 2 holes in your head that you call your eyes. The light goes in through your eyes and communicates with your pineal gland and converts serotonin into melatonin.
The ancients knew that. Everybody knows that.
That's right. The ancient people did know that. They used to do these things where they bury you for 3 days and then open up the crypt, and you get this big hit of light after being building up all of these neurochemicals in your brain. And the big hit of light would go through your eyes and would convert the serotonin into melatonin, or the melatonin into serotonin instantly. And supposedly you have these initiatory reactions via the conversion. The connection between light and brain health is unbelievably important. And by the way, Skin cancer and cancers that are related to the sun have a link to nutritional deficiencies because when you eat nutrients, specifically phytonutrients and antioxidants, they're literally stored in your skin and secreted in your sweat and in your sebum so that when you get the sun, you have antioxidant protection built in when you're taking your nutritional supplements.
Well, think about it. Any parent at home knows this. When your kid's not feeling well, what's the first thing you look
Get them some sun.
Well, you give them some sun, but also you look in their face, you go, your color doesn't look good. Your color doesn't look good because your skin doesn't have the nutrients in it. Your skin is devoid. Any parent
But
knows.
even mainline doctors in the old days said get plenty of fresh food, water, and sun.
Right. Here's another thing. Phytonutrients, plants have these pigments, chlorophyll and carotenoids and different kinds of colored pigments that require an adequate digestive system in order to be absorbed and put into the skin, specifically fat absorption. So when you have, you're absorbing your fats, you're breaking down the vegetables and the phytonutrients are getting delivered to where they need to be delivered in the skin. If you have your gallbladder removed, if you have liver problems, fatty liver, any kind of digestive issue that compromises fat absorption, you are now at risk for problems with the sun because you're missing these nutrients in your skin.
And most people now are getting fats of the wrong kind. They're degraded fats because they're getting it from potato chips and French fries and pizza, which has fat in it. But that's
what about narcolepsy connected to not getting sun?
I haven't heard
I've
that.
seen some brain chemistry reports on that. But obviously, we're designed to get some sun. That's what our skin's for. That's how we process the vitamin A, correct?
Vitamin A, your body makes vitamins from the sun. A person who's healthy, look at Ben. Ben is healthy. His skin looks vibrant, and that's because he's getting plenty of sun. Go to Colorado where people are getting plenty of sun. They look alive. Go up to Alaska. They could use some sun.
Well, you said, Alex said it right. Don't you feel better when you're out in the sun? How did we let people bamboozle us into thinking that this is some demon in the sky that's hell-bent on our destruction when we all know that we feel better when we're out in the sun? You go take a survey on people and ask them if they feel better when they're out in the sun, and across the board, people say...
But we're just like, it's like plants need sun. I mean, we need some sun.
We're designed to have it. Anybody who says that we're not supposed to have sun is telling you a fib.
By the way, did you guys find that Cass Sunstein says that they should censor people? There it is. Obama's information czar calls for banning free speech, no more opinions on content. And there it is. Blow it up so I can read it. Thank you. For radio listeners. Sunstein also cites the benefit of global... Sunstein also cites the belief that global warming is a deliberate fraud as another marginal conspiracy theory to be countered by government action. In reality, the majority of Americans now believe that the man-made explanation of global warming is not true and that global warming is natural, according to the latest polls. I guess you didn't find the part where he says... because, I mean, it's in his paper. He says, I know Paul Watson wrote about it. He says, it says that it's a lie that you need sun. So that's the part about go after folks that say global warming isn't real.
Well, yeah, I love the fact he has sun in his name. Isn't that hysterical?
Oh, yeah, and then, I get it.
You can't have sun. I can't think of, well, they're trying to make the most basic things. If they can tell you the sun is bad, then what else won't you believe? I mean, when they can take that away from you, like being in the sun is a bad thing.
What about the UN 2 years ago at Copenhagen? Because people were pointing out the sun's driving climate, not us. And they had a vote and said the sun does not affect climate.
Well, it's a good thing they voted. Yeah, because
the sun doesn't affect climate.
Yeah.
Is that what they said?
Okay, guys, type in UN votes and says sun does not affect climate. They're not going to believe me.
That big nuclear reactor out there isn't affecting anything. I guess not. It's like why does it get cold at night? Because the sun's gone. It's, yeah, it affects climate just a little bit.
Now you were talking about mainline medical doctors are good people. They're just ignorant.
They're indoctrinated into a system that tells them how to think. And because of that, they come in there with good intentions. They want to do the right thing, but they're told the right thing is something else. And because of that, that's what they do. If you get in a car accident, you want to see a physician right away. They know how to fix bones and take care of you. They're great at critical care. But when it comes to preventative medicine, they're told a whole story and a mythology, and they bought into it because if they don't, they're not in anymore. They're on the outside.
And they don't make money. I mean, if they tell you, hey, this nutrition will reverse this, then the big medical companies that finance the medical schools aren't going to give them money.
But the average doctor doesn't even know any of that. He's not tied into the big money in the medical school. He's just tied into wanting respect of his peers and believing what his teachers tell him is true. So if all you hear for your whole life is this way of thinking, that's what you adopt.
Also, we've abdicated. We've voluntarily given up responsibility for our health, and we've created a vacuum in a sense, and the medical people have just taken up that role. medicine should be about heroic measures. If you have a heart attack, if you get hit by a car, if you need stitching up, and it does wonderful work in that regard. But somehow they've taken it on a role that should be ours as individuals.
Well, they're trying to take control of the whole society. I mean, the technocrats above them say that. They want to make us sick so they can then sell us what allows us to live.
Well, they're managing things now. It's not about helping you get better. It's about how do we manage this.
Well, it's
situation.
a binary illness. The big pharma, the system, you know, the bad food, the GMOs, the additives give you the illness, and then they give you the treatment.
Well, we are via nutritional supplementation, via dietary strategies, via lifestyle modification. We have so much power. We can do so much to take the ball back into our own court to restore our health. It shouldn't be the medical model's responsibility to make us better. It shouldn't be the medical model's responsibility to keep us healthy. Unless we have an accident, our day-to-day health is our responsibility, the responsibility of parents for their children, and the responsibility of individuals themselves. And to me, they're just taking on, we've created a vacuum.
But the government's fostering that. Look in Chicago, where if you bring your own lunch to school, there's some schools where they take your lunch away and throw it in the garbage, even though the parent packed the lunch, because they say, well, we don't care that you packed the lunch. We don't care that you're a parent. We're throwing the garbage because this is what your kid's going to eat. Yeah. So the government's becoming the parent.
That's right. Well, there's been a nanification. It's the nanny state. It's this idea that we can't do it ourselves, that we have to have somebody else take care of it.
And they make you weak. Of course, we need the government to protect us from everything, even from our own thoughts, even from our own food.
Well, that's why in those nanny state cities, they take the guns, the crime rate goes up. It doesn't make you safe. The cops can't protect you all the time.
No, but they get you dependent to the point where you need someone else to take care of you. You're not supposed to think for yourself. I mean, even in school nowadays, excellence is breeded out of you. Excellence is breeded.
No, they admit that. You're right, Doc. Now, Dr. Corey Gold, what woke you up?
You know, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm always been counter to a lot of things. I'm always contrarian. When everybody's talking about one thing, when everybody's thinking the same thing, somebody's not thinking. And I think very early on, I was listening to a few of the alternative thinkers out there and said, you know, there's something organic about that rides in my chest. I just can't not listen to that message and hear it. Because sometimes when the truth is out there, it rides with your heart and you go, there's something that guy's missing.
Well, your subconscious brain's more powerful. It knows bull.
Well, yeah, and also then you start saying, well, wait a second, why do I think what I thought before? Well, just because everybody's telling it to me doesn't mean it's accurate. Maybe they just heard from somebody else and they're repeating the same bad thing around. And so I started reading and going to school, and in school they teach you how the body works, and when you start saying, well, why don't I just give it what it needs?
Right. That's what we said in pharmacy school.
Right. And so when you start saying, well, why don't we just provide it what it needs? It doesn't mean nothing ever will go wrong.
Right.
But why should we assume it will go wrong? Why don't we try to fix, I take care of my car. A lot of people take care of their car better than they take care of their body because they know exactly what to do. I change my oil every so often. I do this every so often, but they don't know what to do with their own bodies because they were trained not to know.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. It's this detachment that we have from our own bodies that allows us to go to some outside authority to tell us what's wrong with us. Most of us don't really feel inside our bodies. We don't know where our pancreas is. We don't know what our liver does. We don't know about our skin. So we feel somehow detached and disconnected, and that allows us to go to a doctor and say, hey, you tell me what's wrong with me. Hey, you fix me. So it's this idea that we have to become reacquainted with our bodies. We have to become reacquainted with how our bodies work.
But, I mean, the best way, to describe this is, as you know, breast cancer off the charts. Right. U.S. has the highest in the world, thousands of percentile what it was 50 years ago, spreading all over the Western world, wherever we follow this modern GMO, you know, tainted food, additives, all this garbage that we're just told is the way it is. And they're only talking about how to find a cure for it once you get the breast cancer. Right. They're not asking, why is it exploding?
Right.
Yeah, everybody's walking to find a cure. Why isn't everybody walking to find the cause?
Kentucky Fried Chicken sponsors the race for the cure. I always found that pretty interesting.
We should find the race for the cause.
Race for the cause. I
know this. I can eat one piece of Kentucky Fried Chicken as a scientific test, one drumstick, days of headaches, feeling dirty. I mean, just grungy. You know, I mean, it is... I mean, it's got so much MSG. Well, you know the story of MSG. Tell them.
Right. Well, MSG, monosodium glutamate, is it's a very fascinating story. The Japanese pioneered it so that they could feed their soldiers the crappiest food ever, and it would taste good. MSG is an excitotoxin. It makes your brain excited. It makes your brain happy. So you'll eat Spam, and your brain will go, yippee! Wow. Exactly. It makes your brain happy and excited. So they figured, well, put it in everything, and it allows you.
These additives are artificial drugs.
Basically, they make you think that you're eating a filet mignon when you're eating Spam.
Oh, well, you're a pharmacist. I know on average they teach them more than doctors about the metabolic system with this. What is MSG doing?
MSG, monosodium glutamate, is classified as an excitatory neurotoxin, meaning it stimulates the brain to make it think it's really happy and really excited.
Just like other poisons like methamphetamine.
Now, you have excitatory neuropeptides in your brain. That's a normal part of brain chemistry. The problem is when you eat lots and lots of them, these excitatory neuropeptides are regulated tightly, as they should be, because if you have too much of them, they're toxic. The problem is we're getting them in all of our foods, Kentucky Fried Chicken and fast foods and Spam. And so it's the amount of these excitatory compounds that makes them toxic.
And then your body gets used to them, and when you go back to eating foods that don't contain them, they don't taste as good to you anymore, because your body's saying, wait a second, I need a drug to feel like my food tastes good. This tastes bland to me. What is it? It's regular organic food. Well, it doesn't taste good to you.
That's what my dad used to tell me when I was a kid. He goes, you don't need the sugar cereal. He said that makes it to where you can't taste it. Chew it, and then just chew the regular wheat cereal. Then you'll be able to taste the sugar. And I tried it. You chew it a bunch, then it suddenly gets sweet.
That's exactly right. If you suck on any kind of piece of bread and let it sit in your mouth, you will taste sugar. That's right. And the problem is that we become, just like we become dumbed down to excitatory neurotransmitters, we become dumbed down to insulin or to sugar, and we need more and more sugar to give us that high. So that's what we were talking about earlier, about resensitizing your body to the sweet taste and resensitizing your body to insulin.
Well, and that's one reason why people are hungry all the time, because their body doesn't have any nutrients. So the body says, wait a second, there's a disconnect here. I've been eating a lot, but I'm still hungry. Why is that? And it's because you're not getting any nutrients. You're getting lots of calories.
Eons, whenever we got calories, we got nutrients. I mean, this whole modern way of eating is only 100 or 200 years old. For thousands and thousands of years, for even millions of years, when we got calories, we got nutrients. So the body sees calories, it's wondering where the heck the nutrients are. It sends us out for more calories.
And Big Pharma, that owns the big food companies, they industrialize the food, they roll it out, they put their petrochemical additives into it to addict us, because they're all drug pushers, like crack dealers who can put the best crack on the street, just like cigarette makers with additives. They're all competing. One more segment with you guys, then I want to bring MZ in, and I'm going to tell folks about events in Austin. Find out more at InfoWarsTeam.com. Really informative stuff's going on during the break. Dr. Corey Gold, you were bringing up, Ben was saying, hey, bring up, the Nazis and the Soviets on record put fluoride in their work camp water. That's on record if you look it up. But then you were bringing up the fluoride in the water. All these, the states now, because cities are removing and are saying, okay, it's the law. That violates the Geneva Convention, the Nuremberg Code. You can't forcibly drug somebody. Now they're talking about lithium in the water.
Absolutely. There's government agencies out there and panels out there talking about now saying some people aren't feeling happy all the time. Therefore, having negative emotions is bad. We might want to put lithium in the water. Therefore, no one will ever be unhappy.
Zombies.
Yeah, well, because having an emotion is now is a bad thing. You shouldn't have emotion. So let's put lithium in the water. And some people might be a little aggressive. Let's put some fluoride in the water. Or remember during the war they used to put saltpeter. Let's put things in the water. Let's put things in food, to make sure that people don't have emotions that might not be the emotions.
And then take the iodine out, and then all these women have thyroid problems because the iodine isn't there, so the fluoride's able to get into the thyroid.
And by the way, the fluoride is specific for the pineal gland, that gland in the center of your brain that's responsible for your spiritual connection, that is involved in serotonin and melatonin production.
Dreams.
Dreaming and higher consciousness. Fluoride is specific for the pineal gland.
And so if you can take religion out of everything, because if you start giving some drugs that make you not have that emotional attachment to the world and to spirituality, then who are you bonded to, which is the state? And to some degree, I think a large portion of this is who should be your deity, which is the state.
No, that's it, folks. There's going to be an event here in Austin. There's other events across the country with InfoWarsTeam.com. But bottom line, go try out the Tangy Tangerine, the Pollen Burst. I also like the Rebound that's been endorsed by a professional basketball player who loves it. A lot of professional basketball players, others say that they would have already been retired, but because they were never getting the right nutrients, they were just giving them salts and things like that. But again, if you go to InfoWarsTeam.com, you can find out about Saturday, February 4th. Come one, come all, 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. at the Cross Point Church, 5703 McNeil Drive, Austin, Texas, 78729. And there's going to be a lot of folks there. Dr. Corey Gold. There's also going to be pharmacist Ben Fuchs, MZ. Ted Anderson's going to be speaking. Topics like heart disease, cancer, skin diseases, diabetes, polluted water, fast food, lifestyles, blood pressure, Fukushima, digestive issues, obesity, and more. Again, that's all going on. Find out more at InfoWarsTeam.com. In the few minutes we've got left in this short little segment before we get into other news and get other folks here on the air like Bob Chapman and then take some calls later. Anything else you guys think you should add for people out there?
Yeah, this is one thing I want to say. I hate willpower. I don't have any willpower. What we're going to talk about at 7 o'clock at the Crosspoint Church this Saturday is how to hack into your brain's chemistry so that you don't need to fight yourself away from the buffet table, so that you'll naturally not want the pizza. And that's the key. If you have to go against hardwiring in your brain, you are bound to lose. But if you can figure out how to hack into that chemistry by giving yourself good nutrients, by making sure you're getting good...
The globalists hack us with false stuff to make us weak. We just use what God gave us.
Nutrients, exactly. You can figure out how to hack into your brain using good nutrition and using good dietary strategies. You don't need any willpower. The weight will drop off and you're going to feel better.
He absolutely said it right. Your body's an amazing chemistry set. It can, if you give it the right ingredients.
That's right.
It can
Hey, I hate to bring this up because it's sad. Look at Ted's dad. He was back from Alzheimer's, and the doctor said no, and within a month didn't know who he was again. I mean, it's incredible. And the doctor's God, so okay.
Oh, and you hear stories. I mean, look at all the people around your offices here who have just dropped weight by having proper nutrition because they weren't as hungry and they were getting they were having more energy, feeling positive, dropping weight without having to fight it.
And decreasing their risks of degeneration down the road.
Absolutely.
InfoWarsTeam.com. There's hundreds of great products there. I'm promoting the ones I believe in that I've used personally, but I'm told the others are even better, many of them. So go check it out, InfoWarsTeam.com. There's also a toll-free number to call if you want to get involved.